All right, tonight's homework, we got the first two questions, 6, 6. We are multiplying our fractions again. So of means to multiply. So you can just kind of cross that out and start to multiply.
Whoa.
So we have 2/3 times 3/7. Again, when we multiply, we can multiply just straight across. So we get 6 over 21. This can be reduced. If we divide them both by 3, we end up getting 2 over 7. Again, we got to get in the habit of simplifying when possible. You'll start losing points, especially when you get to 7th grade. Same thing, 1/6 times 11/12. 1 times 11 is 11. 6 times 12 is 72. And that cannot be reduced. Factors of 11 don't have anything in common with factors of 72. Now, again, we got to remember for 6, 7 that we have absolute value. Absolute value is the distance from 0, so no matter if you have a negative in the absolute value, that didn't work out too great, or a positive, they're always equal to a positive number. So 3 is 3 from 0. Negative 3 is 3 from 0. So for this one, again, we have addition and subtraction. You need to go from left to right using your order of operations, which we'll get into later in chapter 6. So 5 minus 6 is -1. And then you have -1 plus a +1. So think you owe $1 and you pay it back. You are left with $0. So how far is 0 from 0? Well, it is 0. So your answer is 0. Looking at the next one, so first we look at -16 3/4 or 75 hundredths. How far is that from 0? So we know that's equal to a positive 16 75 hundredths. Now the 2 was on the outside, so when numbers are on the outside of brackets or parentheses, it means to multiply. So you'll have to multiply the 2 by the 16.75. Looking at it as a mental math, 2 times 16 is 32. And then 3/4 times 2, I would have $1.50. So I add my $1.50 to my 32, which would give me 33.5 or 50. All right, next one looks a little complicated. We have fractions. So there's more than one way to do this. I'm going to try to show you up here so I have more work. I'll choose a different color. So I have 6 3/8 minus 2. What I like to do again is borrow from my 2, make it a 1, and then I can use that extra 1 to make 2 over 2. So I have 3 minus 2, which is 1. And then, so I have a half. And then I have 6 minus 1, which is 5. So I'm with 5.5 here. Same thing with the next one. I have -8 5/8. And I subtract that by -1. So I can change that -1 to a -8 over 8. And I end up subtracting that to get, let me see here, 5. Again, I can't take 5/8 from 8/8, so I'm going to borrow from here and make this a 7. I'll add 8 to my 5, so 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13/8. So then I have 7 I can bring down, and I have my 13 minus 8, which is 5/8. So I add, well, these were both negative, so actually I have to add those together. So I actually am going to have 8 5/8. So I made a mistake because they're both negatives, which will end up being a positive 5 5/8. So if I add my positive 5 and 8 5/8 to my half, I should get, and I screwed that one up right there.